We've invested so much over the years in this idea of validation. I'd say now what's really exciting is it's less about proving something out, it's more about really shaping the future.
The more that you can be actually helpful to the market, the more likely you are to win. Hi Chitra, great to see you.
Hi Blake, good to see you too.
It's been a pretty exciting week here with go-to-market kickoff this week, and we're obviously a distributed workforce, so everyone being in town in the same place has been really fun.
I've had a great time. I mean, usually us finance folks aren't invited to these things, and so it's been really nice to be here, have it here in San Francisco near our headquarters and see all of our team from around the world.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we've got sales, marketing, the team that I lead, obviously, business development, and then a number of friends of the go-to-market org. So it's been a heck of a week. It's been really fun.
Yeah, agreed.
Great. All right. Well, a couple questions.
Okay.
Let's do this. So you have been at CircleCI through many different chapters here. As I'm still relatively new, I've been here, 9 months-ish. What should I be paying attention to?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, I think it does make me reflect back on all of the years that I've been here. And one thing that has really been true with CircleCI is it's a company that has had to reinvent itself throughout many different phases. But one thing I'd say that's been unique about CircleCI is we've been able to do that while really retaining our core identity. We've always had sort of the same underlying mission, strategy. It's just sort of shown up a little bit differently based on the phase that we've been in. So I would say, now we're in a very exciting period of time where the problem that we're solving has only gotten compounded with AI and all of the technologies that have emerged so far. So I would say it's kind of a very exciting time for us to reinvent ourselves, but also leverage the fact that over all of these years, our investments have been around being able to validate and ship code in a meaningful way, in a way that scales. And I would say it's very, very pertinent to where we are today. So I think it's pretty exciting. And just thinking about, you can come in here and really shape the industry at large, I'd say is quite an exciting.
It's super exciting. Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels to me like, last year was the year of, AI code generation.
Yeah.
And now this is the year of everything that happens after that throughout the software delivery lifecycle with validation and making sure that what code is being generated is actually relevant, quality, and good. So we couldn't be in a more exciting spot.
See, you sound like you've already been here for quite a while. I know it's only been 9 months, but I'd say, I was curious, like from your standpoint as someone who's relatively new, again, a lot has changed in the market, so it does probably feel like you're already pretty seasoned here, but just keeping that fresh perspective, what would you advise folks who have been here for a longer time to observe, or has there been anything that you've been able to see that you think has maybe been hidden in plain sight from the rest of us?
Yeah, and this is actually, a number of thoughts. Being our kind of go-to-market marketing kickoff this week, I was just meeting with the team this morning. Something that I think tenured organizations might take for granted or even forget is just the idea of, we tried that thing before and it didn't work. And it's, while that, may be true, it's a different time, it's a different market context, our product is in a different position, our customers, most importantly, are going through different things. So just because we tried something in the past, whether it worked or not, doesn't mean we shouldn't go back to that. And now, of course, we need to approach it with the current context. But I think when, organizations broadly, but especially us right now, when we're thinking through what our most important priorities are, the idea of, we tried that in the past and it only went okay, that's worth second guessing. So that's something that in marketing we've been talking a lot about. So it's just very top of mind for me is the idea of, continuing to tinker really, really quickly. Something else I shared with the marketing team yesterday was the idea of marketing in this era operating a lot more like a product organization or an R&D organization of let's run a bunch of experiments quickly because the market is moving so quickly, whether it's product, whether it's customers, you name it. So just that idea of speed and an experimental mindset. So that feels pretty new and fresh. So I'm excited to bring that kind of energy to the marketing team here.
I'm very excited by that because, I think as you mentioned, there are probably some hidden gems in how things have been done previously that may have relevance again today, even though we may have decided to scrap it along the way. And so I think that's a really good observation to surface. And also, I think the idea of being able to do new things, experiment, I think is very, very exciting today because we've got functions that are essentially expanding in scope, right? It's no longer this narrow window of what you have to do. With the tools that we have, marketers are now more product folks, and vice versa. Finance is talking to go to market a lot more. There's just a lot more kind of boundaries being taken down from a functional standpoint. So I think it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, and one other thought is we are both a product. We have both a self-serve product-led business and we have a sales field-led, enterprise business. Those two businesses are closer together than ever before. So that is just a very cool opportunity to think about the interplay of all of that. So that's just another thing that's been on my mind as I have relatively fresh eyes here.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. So from a finance perspective, I feel like I must ask the CFO, from a finance perspective, what signals actually matter right now versus what is noise?
That's a great question. I know there's always going to be a tough question for the finance person embedded with these questions, but that's actually one that I think about a lot. And one thing that comes to me is it's all about creating long-term value, right? So I'm less concerned about quarter-to-quarter noise, if you will, and really thinking about, how can we serve our customers over the long term? How can we make sure that they depend on us, that they build their own engineering practices around us, and we really are partners along the way? And so being able to see that reflected in our numbers, in our customer relationships, in how we're just viewed in the market is something that I think gives me really good signal when I see that is actually happening. And the other thing is, again, given all of the transformation that's going on today, one thing that I like to see, and that's something that I'd say generally would make finance people happy, is that the investments that we're making, particularly on the product side, be it Chunk or autonomous validation and smarter testing and all of these tools that are really designed to help developers in this age, are people seeking these out? Are they actively downloading these features? Are they kind of coming within the CircleCI walls in order to test and experiment with them? And as I see those actually picking up and getting a lot of traction, that makes me very happy.
Got it. That's great. Yeah, I mean, just the notion of sustainable growth is so important right now. And knowing we had a couple customers on stage with us yesterday, and seeing how much value we provide them was just so inspiring to see.
I love seeing that. We're all about how do we stay with a customer over their entire life cycle and really help them grow and be core to everything that we do.
So growing with them is something actually that feels so core to CircleCI compared to past roles I've been in, and seeing that growth with them is very exciting.
So given everything that's happening right now in the world around us, how do you think about marketing from the standpoint of being bold? Like, what does bold mean to you from a marketing perspective, especially for CircleCI?
Yeah, it is always rooted in what customers actually want and need. It doesn't start from what we're building, it starts from what customers need. So I think a ton about what bleeding edge organizations are struggling with. Because if I can identify what they're struggling with, then we can essentially map an entire, brand marketing program, whether it's top of funnel thought leadership, whether it is sales enablement to help a customer unpack just how to optimize, how to be better. So it really always starts with what's going on with our most forward-thinking customers. And oftentimes when people hear that, I've gotten questions back of, well, what about your sort of the average or the typical customer? We don't want to leave them behind, and that's totally true. So this is all about how do you do two things really well, which is help our most forward-leaning customers be successful, and help the market understand or help other prospects understand where the market is going, while also giving our average customers kind of the tools to aspire to kind of that next level. So I think there is that inherent duality, and that's something I think a lot about. So it always starts with customers, then it gets mapped back to our capabilities as a company and what we're offering them. But something I don't think that gets talked about quite enough is that duality of solving for bleeding edge customers while also supporting average customers as well. So I think that's just like a kind of an interesting truth about the natural bell curve of where the market is going and how to cater to both.
I think that's very inspiring, right? Not everybody is the first mover in technology adoption, right? You always have your kind of leading edge players. And I feel like for CircleCI, we're very fortunate to have some of the most advanced software delivery organizations as customers, and being able to showcase the speed in which they can deliver great products and just how they're thinking about their own processes and showcase that to others, I think is a very inspiring thing that we can do, and it's authentic. It's not about making up, what you can achieve. It's about actually showing what some of the best folks in the industry are doing today.
Totally. And I think that's what has been really exciting about being a marketer, especially in the last couple of years, is there's been a bit of a correction on like the role of marketing. And it's like, the more that you can be actually helpful to the market, the more likely you are to win. And it's nice to move a bit beyond like the kind of the legacy, just focus on brand advertising and what's like interesting to actually getting to really help someone. So seeing that has been awesome, and it's been fun to bring that here. All right, so you've led through many stages of growth, which I'm sure has been very exciting. What feels different about this chapter that we're in right now?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. As I think back at, again, the different phases of CircleCI, we've always had to sort of prove something in a different phase, right? Starting off, was about proving that we have a product that works, and then proving that there's product market fit, that there's a market for said product. And then the phase after that has been about, okay, can we now scale this and get to, far reach with our product and being able to provide value to our customers? So there's always been some major task or work that we've had to do in past phases of the company. I'd say now what's really exciting is it's less about proving something out, it's more about really shaping the future, right? We've invested so much over the years in this idea of validation, this idea of having the right guardrails and systems in place to help teams move very, very fast from a software delivery standpoint. I just think the relevance of all of the work we've done in our past decade plus really comes to, it's front and center today. And so being able to really shape the world, the industry, how companies are thinking about how to build products for this next era is something that I think is a huge opportunity for us to really play a leading role in. And so I'm pretty excited by that. It's a lot. It feels like a very ambitious goal, but I think that's what keeps everyone here so motivated and so interested in the work that we do.
Yeah, we're definitely embarking on a new stage of growth. And knowing how much value we're providing our customers is certainly exciting.